Hey guys, so there was a pretty large build on beta on Tuesday that was like a basic tuning build and additional artifact traits or Azerite traits were implemented. And Shaman did get some changes, but they're kind of disappointing. But I will go over them, and there are actually some traits that are making up for it right now that I'm assuming will be nerfed. I'm also assuming our damage will be buffed to compensate for that. But let's just go ahead and talk about the changes. So first thing first, all Shaman specializations now have Earth Elemental. So that's interesting. And then this is the one that kind of tripped people up, because it's worded a little bit strange. So if you didn't know, the way Blizzard does most of their tuning on beta and PTR is by implementing auras instead of actually adjusting coefficients, because it's a lot simpler. And then once they're done with that, once they're done with like beta and stuff, they get everything tuned kind of where they want it, they then can adjust the coefficients and take away the auras. But here you can see that Shaman already had a plus 47% aura, and they removed that in favor of 106% aura. And it says modifies damage as healing done. So it sounds like this amazing thing, like we got a huge damage buff, but affected spells only Healing Surge. So the only spell that was affected by this was Healing Surge. And then supposedly there's also an 100% aura for Earth Shield. But neither of those are really what we were looking for, though it is kind of nice to be able to heal for like 25,000, which is like 4 Healing Surges to top yourself off if they crit. But no actual damage buffs here. Then you go down to the talents, and Aftershock spells that have a 25% chance to refund the Maelstrom spent on them instead of 30%, so that actually got nerfed. Which was somewhat expected, because it was kind of like the best talent in that tier by quite a bit. Then Ancestral Guidance got buffed from 20% to 25% of your damage, being converted into healing. And Exposed Elements got nerfed from 200% bonus damage on Lightning Bolt after Earthshock to 100%. Now this one kind of confuses me, because Exposed Elements wasn't really that amazing in the first place. Like on pure Patrick it could be better, but for any realistic fight, in my experience, it seemed like Echo of the Elements was better. But this being nerfed like super heavily kind of took me off guard, because now it's like kind of really useless. But basically, our damage got nerfed, and our healing got buffed. So that's a very strange patch. And while we're kind of on the topic of Shamans, I want to look at Enhance too, because I actually have been playing Enhance a lot. Enhance got every single spell nerfed by an additional 10%. It was already negative 30%, so it's not actually 10% less damage than it currently is, but it's still like, it's still a nerf. So that's kind of strange as well, because Enhanced was not performing well in the first place. And it looks like there's Ellie abilities on here, but they are not actually for Ellie. They just kind of put every Shaman ability under Enhancement Shaman. So it's not actually Ellie nerfs, it's just Enhancement Shaman nerfs. But Enhanced wasn't really doing that well, and now it's doing quite poorly. And they still haven't fixed like Ascendance Stormstrike doing less damage than regular Stormstrike because of mastery scaling and stuff. But they also did buff Enhancement Shaman Healing Surge as well. Interestingly, they actually didn't just do an aura for that. And it seems like they attempted to buff Feral Spirits, not really sure exactly how though. Maybe it's just the melee damage of Feral Spirits, something like that. Then they changed some tooltips and stuff. But that is it for the actual damage and direct changes. Now we're going to look at the Azerite traits. So unfortunately, Wowhead hasn't actually really sorted these directly by like spec or whatever. So I do have to kind of go through like the whole thing to actually show you, but I have been able to try some of these in raid testing where you're allowed to put in as many traits as you have. I've actually tried the traits, and I will say that some of the ones that sound really good are really not good, and some of the ones that don't sound like amazing are absurdly good. But first off, I haven't actually tried this one, but when you cast Heroism, your mastery increases by 15 every second, stacking up to 20 times. Seems like a decent one for burst. Sometimes the tooltips on the website is completely wrong, and the in-game one is crazy, like higher, like in some of these cases. So this could be like an insanely high statted again. I don't really know. I do believe this works even if you don't actually get the heroism buff. So like if someone else lost some pull, and then you lust like 3 minutes later, you'll still get the buff when you lust. As a heads up, I guess, I think that's how that works. Let's find the next shaman one. I believe it's down here. Every 1 second, reduce the cost of your next Storm Strike by 2 Maelstrom, increases damage by 8. Haven't actually tried that one. Whereas more Earth Ellie spawns tremors that deal 231 physical damage every 2 seconds. Earth Ellie's auto attack damage is increased by 231. I actually really don't like this, because I don't like the idea of Earth Ellie being a DPS cooldown. I really like the idea of it being a defensive cooldown, where you use it to like get aggro if a tank dies, or use it to use the 40% damage reduction on yourself. So I don't like that one very much. I'm not going to really talk about Resto here. I don't really know much about Resto. we got Synapse Shock. So this is one of the ones that's kind of crazy. Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning increase your intellect by 39 per target hit for 15 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. This one is interesting because it is not actually 39, and also it just continues to refresh. So if you look in game, which piece has that on it? I gotta find it. That's a piece, I think. Yes, 178 per target hit. I believe that the way this works is it scales with eye level. The 39 would be about the right eye level, or about the right stat for like 0 eye level, and then in raid testing it was actually like 230 or something. This gave a lot of intellect. It was like 1,000 intellect permanently. And when you only have 4,700 intellect, that's a lot of intellect to have permanently. It increases my damage by a lot. If I can find the other one on here. Oh, the other one is not actually a like class-specific one. I don't see it anywhere else. I'm just going to go ahead and show you on the game. The other one is Overwhelming Power. I've never... Oh wait, hold on. I didn't see this one on the other thing, but Echo the Elementals, crafty name. When your Storm Melee or Fire Melee expires, it leaves behind a Spark Elemental to continue attacking your enemy for 20 seconds. This is one of the ones that sounded really good, but in practice it was like really, really bad. Like it did 2,000 damage in 2 uses. That's about 60 to 70 DPS. So it was really not very good, unfortunately, because it sounds like a really cool concept. And then there's Overwhelming Power. This is the one that was like insanely good. So your damage abilities have a chance to grant you 25 applications of Overwhelming Power. Each stack of Overwhelming Power grants 71 haste. An application of Overwhelming Power is removed for every 1 second or whenever you take damage. The 25 stacks was 71 each. I believe this also scaled up. That's a lot considering our current haste numbers are like 650. So in actual raid combat, like as soon as this procced, I would have like 47 to 50% haste. Sometimes it would proc twice and it would give me even more stacks, or like refresh the stacks. So this one plus the other one that I showed you, Synapse Shock, had me doing really, really good damage in raid testing. But without these, I was really, really mediocre. So you're kind of reliant on the traits right now, but I don't think that's actually intended, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. But just something kind of fun to look at. Like I was top damage on single target fights type of stuff. I wish I could actually show you, but all of the recordings of that are private right now because it's for raid testing, and my guild is not publishing any of our raid testing stuff because we're like doing strats and whatever. But yeah, maybe if I end up getting enough Azerite traits, I will be able to show. But for now, not the case. So that's pretty much all I had to show today. But there's one other thing I wanted to show just because I don't know where else it would ever fit. It's kind of a cool trick. So basically, Storm Melee with Primal Elementalist has 2 abilities that aren't just the basic Wind Gust. Bolt Lightning that increases its damage by 300%. And there is Eye of the Storm, which is like a big channeled thing that increases damage every time it hits something. Really good for AoE. So what I notice a lot of people aren't doing is they're not min-maxing that, and that with 300% is kind of huge. So I'm going to show you how good AoE burst actually can be if you do it right. Got the right gear on, whatever, it doesn't matter. Pop Storm Melee, wait for him to cast Call Lightning, and then you Eye the Storm. You're kind of just flying. Then he kind of goes in and starts meleeing for some reason. Oh, I actually have Wind Gust disabled. They disabled Taunt on Earth Alley. I've had that disabled for a long time, apparently. Interesting. No wonder I wasn't doing that much damage. Anyways, it does a lot of damage. That was, what, like 4 targets? That was only 4 targets. And this scales so fast because it increases the damage it does by 5% every time it deals damage. So you can do quite a bit of damage with that. But I just wanted to show that cool little trick for anyone that is on beta. Use it on big trash packs, or even the bosses for a little extra damage. That's all I got for now, so thanks for watching, guys. I have more coming soon, so hopefully I'll see you then. Now, see you guys later. Peace.